Hello everybody, my name is John Mike, and welcome back to my art studio. Last episode, I mostly focused on Noelle and turning them into the main legendary / starter of my Pokemon region. And naturally, I felt that starting off with the legendary was a bit weird, but then again, considering they're your starter, well, you know. So naturally, I thought that today I'd take a step back and focus on the early root normal types. No early root bird because I couldn't really find a way to make Starwalker bird into a first stage, unless I would be using the original Starwalker, in which case that's not a flying type. So either way I turn is just kind of screwed up. So naturally, we have two early root normals. And they are based off of the first enemies that you face, Rudins and Hathys. And naturally, I take them both into, different enemies. For Rudinn, I take them into Floridins, and for Hathys, well, you're gonna have to wait for that. But anyway, sorry for the wait. I usually do an art video once a month instead of once every 2 months. But, things are going on, couldn't do that, my bad. Anyway, let's get into it. Well, now, Rudinn to me looks like the most Pokemon to ever Pokemon. I mean, it's a snake, it has a hood, I don't even have to do anything with it, I just have to draw it in my style and yank off its arm and boom. It's just a Pokemon. I know, for the next 6 Pokemon, they'll definitely be more creative, but for Diamabloom or Ruden, it's just a snake. I don't know what to do with it. It's a snake. It's got a hood. Naturally, I find a way to make that more creative with Rudinn, Ranger, and Floridin as Pokemon. But like, you know, it's just a snake. What am I meant to do with this? Diamabloom. I didn't write the blank Pokemon for this one, or any of the others because I ran out of space. These Pokemon don't like fighting, and many simply hide in tall grass trying to avoid stomping feet. However, some larger Pokemon pay Diamabloom in berries that grow on trees above their reach to attack trainers for their own amusement. It's a snake. What do you want? It's a snake. Again, next evolution will be much more creative, so anyway, let's go on to that. Whoa! So, Rudinn Ranger it doesn't really change a lot from the original Rudinn, but I did find a way to incorporate it into, like, a midpoint between Snake and Flower. So, instead of having, like, the visor that Rudinn Ranger usually has, I have a flower bulb. Like, the hood has turned into the bulb of a flower, which is now covering its eyes. And I changed the patterns on its body? I don't know how to describe a snake. The patterns on its lower half, let's just go with that. The patterns on its lower half are now red, yeah, basically all this is it's less Rudinn Ranger and more just a transition between Rudinn and Floridin. But anyway, please give a semi-warm welcome to Diamabloom. This Pokemon doesn't see, but releases a thin ring of fast-traveling pollen around them. It senses the pollen that comes back and locks onto the Pokemon it's hunting in a kind of faux echolocation. This can cause issues when Diamabloons cross paths. I honestly don't like the Rudinn evolution line that I made more than... I like the Hathy evolution line more than I like the Rudinn line, because the Rudinn line leaves so little to turn into Pokemon. It's just kind of like, a snake again, snake but flower. It gets repetitive, and I struggle. But anyway, next up is Floridin, so, this was by far the hardest I have ever found a Fakemon design, because I originally tried to make it cute, but then it ended up looking like the incarnation of a child screaming on a plane. And to be honest, I just did not like that design, because what I wanted to do for both of the normal types was start them off as just pure normal, give them a type, and then replace the normal type with fairy type, because, you know, Rudinn is, it's fairy type Pokemon material. But then it just went wrong. So incredibly wrong. I stopped recording because I was like, well, there's nothing I could do about this. There's nothing I can do about this. It's messed up. And then the moment I stopped recording, I was like, well, no, I can't just leave this thing to look like this. So naturally, if you can see, there is a cut, at the minute mark, because I actually went back and modified the original design. I made it more saturated. I made its eyes rounder. I got rid of the fang. I made the petals more vibrant, and overall, I made it look slightly less like the demons in your shower. By the way, you should probably have that checked out. So anyway, give a welcome to Diamabloom. Again, I'm not entirely sure this design is good, but yeah, well, what can you do? This Pokemon has long since lost its love for hunting, instead climbing up the trees it once fought for the fruit of, twisting around the most durable branch, and then sleeping. Some find this Pokemon annoying, others find it cute, but it really has no worry for others anymore, just the fruit of its tree. As the previous evolution had unaware because it was blind, this Pokemon has unaware because it physically is unaware of the world around it. It just likes eating fruit, I don't know what to tell ya. Now let's swiftly move away from this evolution line and move on to the one that I actually like, the Hathy line. Whoa! Now, they say that you shouldn't have a favorite child, but I do. Well, out of the 3 Pokemon lines that I've made so far, I do. Honestly, Hathy as a Pokemon is, honestly, probably one of my best designs yet. I don't do a lot with it. I just make them into a cat. You'll see why later. But honestly, I think it just works really well. This Pokemon is based off of health and defense, which makes sense considering, you know, heart. So naturally, I wanted to make it so that they weren't very fast and, well, lucky me, Hathy only has 3 legs, which means that this Pokemon also should have 3 legs, which, you know, there isn't really a 3-legged creature out there, or a creature that naturally has 3 legs, but I just made a weird cat thing with 3 legs. Don't worry, it's not gonna have 3 legs for much longer. I honestly don't really have a lot to say about this design. All I want to say is that I just like it. And here we have Hairgal. This Pokemon cannot move very quickly, so it hardly ever does. Instead, it utilizes its agile tail to attack foes who get too close. Its patient hunting style is further heightened by its lack of ability to sleep. I wanted to make all of the first stages at least, like, semi-decent, because, again, these are early normal types, but, you know, I still want to make them semi-usable, so naturally I didn't want to lean too far into the abysmal I didn't want to lean too far into the abysmal speed stat aspect yet, but don't worry, we'll get there. Speaking of getting there, well... Now, the second evolution is, honestly, I feel like it kind of just feels like a modified version of the first, but honestly, that just feels like Head Hathy to me. I mean, Head Hathy is literally just a 1-to-1 replication of Hathy except blue, so naturally there's not a lot I can work on. I was originally planning on making it normal steel, then I went to normal electric, and eventually I settled on a middle ground of normal psychic, which I feel like was the perfect, I guess, middle ground between Head Hathy and what I was planning on basing the third evolution off of. As you can see, I have turned its third leg into a second tail, a spectral spooky tail, which does not make it ghost type. It is made of psychic matter or something. Honestly, I was just finding a way to not include that third tail into the other designs, and honestly, I feel like this is just the best way. So, without further ado, Psychalic. Following its evolution, this Pokemon's third leg is morphed into a second tail, made of a liquid-like substance that allows it to utilize its previously latent psychic powers. When it moves, it raises its hind and moves as if quadrupedal. This is, however, impractical in combat. As you can see, the speed has been halved, because, 2 legs. And I've also given it a new signature ability called Flightless Guard, which, it's like no retreat, but slightly worse, where it is no longer able to leave or be switched out. However, it gains a +2 to its special defense. Almost like Dauntless Shield, except you also can't leave, and it's another one added to its special defense. So, naturally, this thing is very especially tanky, and that's only going to be increased with its final evolution, which, let's just get into. Whoa! So, the reason why I wanted the Hathy line to be cats is because I wanted them to transition into their third evolution, which is a task. The cat things from Chapter 2. And naturally, those things are always, like, laying down. They don't really have a walk animation. They're just kind of laying all the time. Well, I thought I'd take that and say that it's because I've removed their legs. They don't have any legs, so they're always laying down, and that really powerful psychic powers mean that they're always sleepy. No, they don't have Truant or Slow Start or whatever. They still have Flightless Guard. They just have 5 speed. Now a Fairy Psychic type, this thing is, very powerful. It has a very decent special attack and defense, plus their ability Flightless Guard means, when it comes to special defense, they're, pretty much immortal. Naturally, they can still be taken down by a good cross poison, or a good physical poison move should be enough to bring them down. But, I still want to make them very tanky, and just overall, very much a tanky Pokemon. So anyway, warm welcome to the Feline. This Pokemon uses much of its mental power on its psychic powers. As a result, it is in a perpetual state of tiredness. But don't mistake this for weakness, as the Feline is both defensively and offensively potent. There we go. As stated prior, it has very good special attack, very good special defense. Plus, its ability means that it basically has 220 special defense, because, a +2 special defense. It has pretty decent regular defense, and pretty mediocre attack, because, special attacker. But overall, it is decent. It is very much decent. I could see someone having this on their team for their playthrough. Now, at the beginning of the last video, I showed you guys the special gimmick for this region called the Dark Field. And naturally, the Feline has a dark form. I should probably elaborate on what dark forms are, though. Basically, much like in the games, the Dark Fields bring to life the Pokemon's most deep inner desire. For example, with Frostnite from last episode, their drive was to be more powerful, so naturally the Dark Field gave them more power, and due to lore stuff that I don't want to reveal yet, that was amplified by a lot. So naturally, what would be the Feline's most inner desire? Well, it's to be faster. And you may see where we're going with this, but anyway, let's go. Whoa. Honestly, the dark forms really aren't that hard to design. Really all they are black and white, so not a lot of detail has to be put into them. But I personally feel like this is one of my best designs yet, even if it's, again, just black and white. I gave them a bunch of floating psychic hands. Convenient enough, like Task Manager. Which I was originally thinking of having as the main focus, because, you know, Task Manager, you know, it fits. But over time, it became less of Task Manager and more of my own thing, which I personally feel like is a good thing, because honestly, if I were to make a Task Manager style thing without the ability to add a lot of detail, I feel like it would have just thrown off the design, and to be honest, I think I'm really happy with how this turned out. So anyway, allow me to introduce you to Dark the Feline. The Feline's psychic powers put a heavy strain on the Feline, leading it to only have little to no energy left over. This is a problem the Dark Zone fixes, giving it legs and the ability to use its powers without hindrance. This new form can move fast and precisely, forcing its foes to think fast on their feet. And there you have it, the early root normal types, who didn't stay normal types for long. I tried not to make them too overpowered, except for Dark to Feline, because, you know, you only get the Dark Fields pretty late in the game. I didn't give a Dark form to the other guy, I forgot his name. Because, to be honest, I don't really think they had any desires to build off of, or any extra forms to build off of. Even if I didn't entirely base Dark to Feline off of Task Manager, there are some aspects. And ultimately, there's nowhere I can take Rudinn to make it more powerful, unless I did the flowers, but I have a thing for the flowers, don't worry. Yeah. Don't worry, I am going to be continuing this series, but yeah. If you guys enjoyed that video, go.